A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I'm your humble host, Mike Argoni, and joining me, as always, the office furniture to my Lando Calrissian, it's John Campbell.
That's right, we're still off in those weird, I don't want to say what if, although now I could legally, but yes, when we're in one of those Star Wars Infinities. Ooh.
Yeah, we're still covering Star Wars Infinities, The Empire Strikes Back. Today we are covering issue number 2. We are in that strange what-if territory, though legally distinct from what if at the time. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a little bit more murky. But we are covering issue number 2 of The Empire Strikes Back. This issue was originally released in August of 2002, nary a few months away from the release of Attack of the Clones. And by that I mean, like, Attack of the Clones came out and then this book came out later, which will be important when we're discussing some of the art here in this issue.
Yes!
But this issue was, of course, written by and created by the same creative team we were talking about last week. We got writing, Dave Land, penciling, David Fabry, inks with Christian Dallavecce, and colors by Dan Jackson, letters by Steve Dutro. We've got
very Italian book, Dallavecce.
We've got a very Italian book, with covers by Tony Harris.
Yes.
But yes, this is Star Wars Infinities number 2. Infinities, of course, is the book where Dark Horse Comics dared ask the question, dared ask the question, infinite? Question mark?
There are an infinite number of parallel realities.
But in this particular what-if scenario, I'm not going to dance around that phrase, we have a what if Luke Skywalker froze to death on Hoth. What?
Yes. Well, that would change everything, Ergoni.
It just might. Though last issue, it didn't change a whole heck of a lot because...
No, our complaints about the last issue were just that there was a lot of table setting for like, okay, this is what you know, but, it was mostly at the end.
Yeah, a lot of table setting and going over events that were very, very similar to the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. Because, look, even if Luke Skywalker freezes to death, we're still going to have the Empire attacking Hoth. We're still going to have everybody trying to get out of there. We're still going to have the Falcon breaking down in an inopportune moment and them trying to evade the Imperial blockade. We still have them finding a local place where they can find safe haven, and that is, of course, Cloud City.
Cloud City, baby. And that's where we ended up. But something that was different was, it's not Darth Vader that has arrived to talk to Lando Calrissian. It's Boba Fett.
It's Boba Fett. Well, I will say the timeline here is a little bit moved up, I suppose, because if we think about the original cut of Empire Strikes Back, we do spend an indeterminate amount of time chilling inside of an exogorth, a space slug.
Yes, that's all been done away with.
Yeah, we never find a convenient asteroid to go hiding in. We just go straight on to Bespin.
Poor Exogorth. He doesn't get the royalties on this now,
Ugh, poor guy. I mean, he's really living off those check to check.
Yes, he's long been living off of those paychecks from Empire Strikes Back, man.
It was tough to find work in the late 80s. There just wasn't any roles for large endothermic space creatures out there.
No, it's a bummer. I heard his audition for Lynch's Dune was really good, but they just went a different way.
Yeah, look, I think it is a bimandible discrimination when they were looking for a trimandible role. So what are you going to do?
Look, you got heart, kid, but you're just not right for the part.
R.I.P. David Lynch.
R.I.P. to the great David Lynch, who did have one of the weird... His speaking voice was everything you dreamed it would be.
Let's start with our cover here, because this may or may not spoil sort of what we're about to get into here.
I do think it's very interesting that it just lays out everything it does in this issue, because you've got Boba Fett encased in carbonite, you've got Cloud City on fire and falling out of the sky, and you've got Leia holding a lightsaber.
Yeah, this really isn't pulling its punches in terms of begging the question of what's going to happen.
Well, it's almost just like, guys, we got the note about, what little you thought was in the last issue. Look at all the cool shit that's in this one.
Yeah, and look, Leia with a purple lightsaber, I'm on board. But
I'm going to have a lot of questions about that purple lightsaber, but it is a cool image.
We'll get there. So let's get into it. We got our credits page, our Infinities logo, and then we're right into where we left off last issue. Remember how last issue just sort of ended with, hey, Boba Fett's here. Well, now we're going to start with, hey, Boba Fett's here.
Well, and I do love the way the lettering is written. Fett, what are you doing here?
And Boba Fett making some mysterious allusions to his employer, and then sticking a gun underneath Lando's chin here, saying, like, look, I'm here for Solo. You don't have a choice in the matter. If you don't cooperate, I'm going to blow your head off.
I mean, pretty badass Boba Fett so far. I'm digging this portrayal.
Again, the weirdest part of this is Boba Fett without his helmet on, right?
Yes. It's very interesting. Once again, you're talking about we're right. Do you say right before or right after the release of Attack of the Clones?
Right after Attack of the Clones.
So canonically, he looks more like a Tamora Morrison here.
He's definitely got a Tamora Morrison from, like, I don't know, what was that? Black Hawk Down?
Yeah.
Era Tamora Morrison, as opposed to the Boba Fett Tamora Morrison we know today from that book he wrote.
Yeah. I didn't know he was such a wordsmith. The Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1. I just love the idea of him sitting there. All right.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
That's never been done. That's good, Boba. That's good. Yeah. He's here to get Solo for his employer, as we've said. I wonder who that is.
Could be anyone.
Could be anyone.
Anyway.
Yeah, unless we're talking about Lando's not having it because he says, I will throw you out of here so fast, man.
Well, he is the, like, Baron and administrator of Cloud City, and this guy's just rolling in here, sticking a gun in his face, being like, hey, you're going to work for me now? Lando's not having it.
No, but then Lando does like, hey, whoa, man, put the piece away.
Yeah, because on the next page, Lando acting cool, but throwing a sly wink over in Lobot's direction.
The Lando wink to Lobot is everything you want.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah.
We had some, you had some complaints about the facial art in the last issue. Oh, yeah. I think that continues a little bit into this issue.
Yeah. I've chosen to just if you saw the last I don't like any of the facial art on any of these characters basically, other than this kind of determined Lobot punch in inset panel I like.
But yeah, the wink from Lando, he's like the eye's not even all the way closed on the wink, and it looks like he's kind of squinting. It's odd.
He's actually having a stroke. It's a real sad moment. I mean, it does look like he's like it's like a palsy or something like that, right? Like. Dude, listen, this imagines what if Lando had Bell's palsy.
And it's the drawback to the still panel as opposed to like an animated, like with the wink, you see the whole like eye closing, eye opening. In this, they kind of went for like a half eye closed, but usually when you see a wink drawn, it's like the eye is all the way closed.
Yeah, I will say though, winks are tough. Winks are tough. In a still frame format.
It's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, Boba Fett puts his helmet back on, starts walking. One false move and you're both dead.
Yeah, he thinks he's got the upper hand here, but that wink tells us maybe not.
Maybe not. Because on the next page, we have them walking through Cloud City. Hey, it's the special edition Cloud City with windows and stuff.
Oh, yeah. And, if you could just make sure that it's specifically the correct Cloud City from the special edition releases.
And then Chewbacca shows up and pummels Boba Fett.
I mean, I do love a surprise Chewbacca attack.
We always love a Wookiee from top of frame.
Yeah. From top of frame. And he hits Boba Fett so hard he gets a hoof out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And a
How
thud.
how did Lando know Chewie was going to be there?
I don't know. I also know, what did Lobot do that was in the wink?
Maybe
Like,
that
what
was
did
just
he
Lando saying,
signal?
like, hey, I got this, bud.
Yeah. Hey, there's a Wookiee up ahead. Wink, wink.
Ah, the universal Wookiee wink.
Lobot's like, copy that. No, I don't know what they were signaling, but I do like that. I do like Boba Fett taking a header into this wall.
Yeah. We got Lando with all of his security team here saying, like, hey, Fett, you're
You're under arrest,
done.
pal.
All right. Yeah, drop your
Yeah.
weapons.
Yeah, give it up.
Lan-
This is over now.
Lando Solo with a smug smile here.
That's all right. I think his eyes are a little far apart, but beyond that,
But Boba Fett won't be taken lying down. He whips out his... I mean, I don't know what's happening here. He's obviously shooting his blaster with his right hand. What's going on with the left hand here? Like, is he shooting a dart? Because usually that's his, like, flamethrower gauntlet.
yeah, there's something coming out of the gauntlet, but you can see where the flame would come out, and this is shooting out from underneath that.
Actually,
Does he have a rocket launcher of some kind?
Speaking of Attack of the Clones, I think this, because with the sound effect there, I think this is referring to those, like, what are they called in Attack of the Clones? Kaminoan saber darts.
Yes, that they use. That's what Django uses to kill that assassin that was trying to kill Padme, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And only a 50s diner four-armed chicken man can figure out exactly what they are.
I know what this shit is, man. Dexter
Jester.
Yeah. Who could forget? I mean, that movie gave us so many classic characters. Him, Sleaze Bagano. I will say, I really like this next page because this kind of delivers on what fans have always disliked about Return of the Jedi, which is that Han just inadvertently kills Boba Fett, and you're not treated to what we want, which is like a throwdown between them, right?
Right. Because next page we got Fett using his jetpack, flying over Lando and the guards, crashing into Han Solo, throwing him into a pillar, breaking his spine in half.
Maybe Han is a Jedi, because why is this not killing him, or at least paralyzing him, if you bring? I do like Han, drawing and shooting from the hip at him. Yeah, tombing there. And then these two they might kiss, though, too. It's the tension there. We don't know in what way it's leading.
You could cut it with a knife, I'm saying.
Yeah. Get off. Do you really want that, though? Yeah.
Anyway, Chewie's not having any of it because that's Chewie's man, and he's going to drag Boba Fett off and hurl him into a wall.
Talk about paralyzing him. Jesus. He ragdolls into this wall. And I just like that. Well, even there, Boba or Lando's like, is he dead? And he's like, no, but he won't be giving us any. He's definitely in a coma. He's not getting up, sir.
It's that classic, like, when Batman throws a thug off the roof. It's like, look, maybe he doesn't kill him, but he's not walking ever again.
Yeah, I know that. How many Batman villains succumb to injuries later in a hospital, though, right? Where it's like,
what a great question.
I didn't kill them technically, but
One of my favorite instances of that is in the Spider-Man video games for the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
When, as Spider-Man, you hurl some guy off a roof, and you're like, no, you're like 7 stories up. That man is dead, until you see that, like, a random strand of web is then produced out of that bad guy, and he thwips into the side of the building. So it's fine.
The web came out of that guy, though, somehow, for some reason. I don't understand.
Spider-Man put a web thing
Well, it's
on
similar
him.
to the Arkham games as well. The games are always where, like, you leap off of a roof and land on a guy, and you're just like, so all of his bones are shattered and his organs are liquid. But yeah, no, he's still alive, I guess.
Technically.
Yeah. So Boba Fett is, for all accounts, out of the story.
Yeah. What do you think of this turn here? Because obviously the reversal here is that Lando is betraying the Empire, quote unquote, as opposed to, because what we find out later is that Boba Fett was, of course, working for Darth Vader.
He assumes the thing that is kind of interesting about this, right, is Lando is not intimidated by Jabba the Hutt, right? So it's like you're here for, or what he thinks is Jabba the Hutt. Of course, it won't be that. So I kind of like the turn of like, hey man, Jabba's not going to tell me what to do, and then being like, whoa, I stood up to Darth Vader. That's not what I meant, because that guy has real power. But it does show, like, it really does take, if only Vader was going to convince Lando to betray Han, right? I think that speaks to, like, if Jabba had come here, he's just like, get this shit out of here.
I think that's a good read on the situation. And this, like, showing that, like, okay, maybe not in every universe is Lando a total scumbag.
Right, no, I think it really, we talk about this. Lando, well, we see the consequences later in this issue, right? But it's just like he has to choose between Han Solo and, Darth Vader will just murder everyone that's under, Lando's leadership. So, I understand. It's very easy to blame Lando and Empire, but, like, I don't know. What kind of choice did he have?
Well, and again, like in Empire, Vader beat them there. So Vader was already had a boot on the neck of everyone here before Solo even shows up.
Yeah, that's another question too. If Vader had landed second, or even somewhat at the same time, where maybe Han and him could have come up with a plan or something. And in this case, Boba Fett lands after the fact, and also he's Boba Fett, who, while awesome, is not, Dark Lord of the Sith. Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, Han Solo says, hey, do you mind, what was that all about? And Lando says as much as, hey, he said his employer is on the way, and they both leap to the assumption that he meant Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah. I do like when he said he was on the way, and he's like, Jabba? Coming? It's almost like, Jabba? Traveling? I don't think so.
Seems unlikely.
I don't get the sense Jabba goes a lot of places. Unless it's a pod race.
You come to Jabba. That's how that works.
Yeah. And he had a luxury box at said pod race anyway, so.
Now, here's what I don't get, is at the bottom of this page, when Chewie is, like, menacing over the unconscious form of Boba Fett, and Lando agrees with Han Solo when Han Solo says, we can't kill him. Why not?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, why? Who cares? Who's going to miss Boba Fett? But I've got a better idea, and I got to say, this is the kind of thing I don't like in these comics, what's about to happen, where they're like, well, somebody needs to be frozen in carbonite, and you're like, no, it doesn't have to, you don't have to meet the, like, do a variation on every beat of the story, because why? Why are they freezing Boba Fett in carbonite? And number one, also, I was thinking about, in Empire, they're only freezing Han as a test. They don't even know. Like, Vader is the guy who's like, hey, because he wants to freeze Luke, right? It's kind of the idea.
Exactly.
So
the idea is to freeze Luke so they can transport him safely to the Emperor.
Right. So this idea that it was Vader's idea to freeze a person in carbonite to begin with.
Yeah, but Lando needed a new desk, so I don't know what to tell you, John.
Yeah, I don't love this whole thing. I gotta say.
Anyway, we'll get.
It's a little silly.
Lando keeps up his end of the bargain. They fix the hyperdrive. The Falcon's all good to go. So Leia, Chewbacca, the droids, and Han are all flying off to Dagobah.
Off to Dagobah they go. I mean, seconds before an Imperial Star Destroyer shows up.
Pretty good timing.
At least the way this is conveyed is it seems like they enter hyperspace just as the Star Destroyer is coming out of it.
So we get up to Lando's office. They're installing his new desk.
I can't. This is so dumb. I'm sorry. This is just so dumb that he made. I mean, what? Also, what level of vendetta does Lando have against Boba Fett that he would want this? Just that he put a gun in his face?
I mean, look. We don't know much about Lando's time as the administrator of Cloud City, right?
We do not.
Or at least canonically we don't. There's some novels that explore it, but...
Oh, well, yes, of course. There's everything of that, though.
Sure. But we don't know how much of a, like, crime lord setup Lando sort of has here. And if you were going to like try to extend your reputation so people didn't mess with you in your operation, if you turn Boba Fett into a desk, I feel like that's a pretty good, like,
You want to talk about the
move.
last guy who tried to threaten me? He's my desk now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, it won't be revealed until a couple of pages from now, but like it's pretty clear that the desk they're installing here is the turned upside down, like frozen in carbonite slab that we see Han trapped in Empire.
That people do. You have seen the photos, I'm sure, of people's coffee tables that are the Han Solo and carbonite.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Would I have that? Maybe.
It seems a little grim to me personally.
I would much rather have the Wampa skin rug.
There we go.
Which I love. I love that. A nice
more
fire skin rug.
More of a tauntaun sleeping bag kind of a guy myself.
Also a fine product.
They are not sponsors of the show.
No. The Disney store is not sponsors for us. Okay, yeah. And so they go, hey man, there's somebody here. They want to talk to Boba Fett.
And Lando, all smooth, like, nope, no Fett here. Tell him to go away. And his little assistant is like, I don't think they're gonna go away. It's the Empire.
Once again, the whole style is very cartoony, right, of the art. But the look on Lando's face to be like, the Empire.
I thought he was working for Jabba.
I mean, literally, if this was in motion, his knees would be quaking, right? Empire.
Yeah. So, ring, ring. Hey, everybody, it's Darth Vader.
Hello, is this thing on? Can you see me? All right. Hello. Yeah. By the way, he's Baron Administrator, which is interesting to me.
I feel like they call him Baron in Empire.
They might, and I've just forgotten. But yeah, but it's both, right? Baron Administrator. You will patch me through to Fed. Once again, we did talk about this in the last issue. With Luke Skywalker dead, why is Vader sending Fett to Cloud City?
Vader doesn't know Skywalker is dead.
Oh. Well, why does he know he's on Cloud? Why does he think he's on Cloud City, though?
Because he's tracking the Millennium Falcon.
Okay.
And he believes that Luke is on board.
Yeah. It's just the whole thing with the bounty hunters is anyway.
Yeah. Well, Vader's throughout most of Empire. Even in this iteration, Vader is working under the assumption that Luke Skywalker is sticking with Han Solo. Or at the very least, if he captures whoever's aboard the Millennium Falcon, whether that be Han Solo or Leia, that will act as bait for Luke Skywalker. Does he not know
Luke? Because he really is always just talking about Han.
The rebel Han Solo and his crew were tracked to this facility. I mean, yeah.
It assured me you would detain Solo. I don't know. Also, wouldn't you think he'd feel it in the Force when Luke died? I mean, they all. I mean, that's that. I know. They play fast and loose with that always.
And whether or not that's like a light side or a dark side power, it goes back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, everybody seems dead to us on the dark side. Let's be honest. Yeah. And he's just he goes.
I can only assume that your city is a rebel base of operations and must be destroyed.
I gotta say, this is Ruthless Vader, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, because next page, suddenly TIE fighters swooping out of the sky, and they start bombing the crap out of Cloud City.
Once again, based on the timing of this, like, as Vader was talking, the fighters had already been launched.
I mean, look, the fighters were probably already launched so that in case the Millennium Falcon was still here, it wouldn't be getting anywhere.
And let's be honest, he was probably going to blow everything up no matter what.
Look, that's classic Vader.
Look, if I don't get a little genocide in, what am I even doing?
So yeah, Lando calls for an immediate evacuation. Everyone needs to run. Empire's going to attack, and they do, and we get this huge two-page spread.
Yeah, this is pretty epic.
Yep. The Empire full-on attacking Cloud City. Everything's on fire. Vader is like, target the turbo lasers on the repulsor generators and fire.
I just love the idea that he's just like, no, they're escaping. Make sure everybody dies.
That's Darth Vader, man.
It really is. Because it's just like, well, everyone's kind of evacuating. He's just like, yeah, hit him in the fuel tanks.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
even Lobot. knows how bad this is. Because when you
When
ever see a Lobot being like, "Look out, man!"
When Lobot's panicking, you should panic.
Oh shit! If Lobot's scared,
And yeah, we get one last tragic page of the Cloud City exploding and descending into the clouds, and a sad image of a cape just fluttering in the wind.
yeah. Oh boy, that is brutal, man. How else to indicate we've lost Lando Calrissian?
It's the only fitting way in my mind.
All we are is capes in the wind. Yeah. All right. Anyway, meanwhile, near Dagobah.
Meanwhile, near Dagobah, we're going through hyperspace, but then something's wrong with Princess Leia. Uh-oh.
I do like the way Han is just apparently going on. I'm sure he's just like, I can't believe it, Chewie. Who'd have thought I'd be a Jedi? I know. And Chewie's like, oh, God, he's been going on about this for the last 10 hours. But yes, there's something wrong with Mistress... Mistress Leia is a weird thing. I guess because there's the idea that instead of Master Luke, it's now like, in Luke's will, 3PO got left to Leia?
Yeah, and look,
You
going forward...
her princess, right?
Sure, but 3PO will kind of default to being Leia's, and R2 will default to being Luke's going forward in the series, right?
Definitely, and particularly by the sequels, that's the case.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It makes sense to me that 3PO would already consider Leia his
I'm just saying, you never hear him say Mistress Leia, though.
Yeah. I don't know.
That I can think of. And once again, I'm sure someone will point to, you don't remember that scene in Return of the Jedi? Obviously, I don't. But I swear I haven't heard that before. I feel like he always says Princess or General Organa.
Yeah, fair enough. But Leia has felt a disturbance in the Force. Well, she doesn't know that's what it is, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely worded similarly to when Obi-Wan felt the destruction of Alderaan.
Yeah, so the way this reads is that Leia is feeling the destruction of Cloud City, right?
She says, I was overcome by terror, and then it disappeared, replaced by nothingness, like I was surrounded by a void. And then classic Han Solo going like, I'm sure you're just tired.
Well, like the last couple of days have been pretty rough. We had to flee Hoth, and everybody died there, and we had to flee Cloud City, and everybody died there. It's been a rough couple of days.
Leia, are you familiar with the word trauma? Yeah.
I mean, for real, though.
Yeah, I mean, and still, not that long since she lost her entire planet, really. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot, to be honest with you. Anyway, we're coming to Dagobah, though.
Yeah, it's a big green planet full of swamps, and the Millennium Falcon's going to just set down. The fact that they can find a place to land that thing is actually pretty impressive.
Well, because, like, the X-Wing had trouble.
It had to land in a fucking pond.
Yeah, and that's a lot smaller. But Han's just like, watch those branches.
So yeah, they're looking for Yoda. They can't find him because this place is just so full of life that R2's sensors can't specify a particular individual.
But
they are delicate enough to sense wood smoke 400 meters away.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let's go check it out.
Leia says she's coming with. Han puts up a little bit of resistance, but ultimately Leia tags along.
And then this weird joke where Chewie does grar, 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 and he says, no, Chewie, I don't think she's part Wookiee. What?
Well, because Leia says, I don't know why, but this place feels like home, and I think that is where that joke comes from, because this place is full of trees and stuff, and that's kind of what Kashyyyk is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it requires maybe 2 leaps in logic, though, and that's a little weird for a one-off like that. But anyway.
It also requires foreknowledge of what the Wookiee homeworld is like.
Well, if you've seen that holiday special, though, you know. Because episode 3 hasn't come out yet. Yeah.
You're right. That is the only depiction of Kashyyyk at this point.
At this point, yeah, before we get to episode 3, yeah.
I mean, obviously, there were, like, books and comics that had shown Kashyyyk off at this point, but...
Yeah, but that it's a foresty planet is shown in that. Anyway, unlike the Empire movie, Yoda's just like, hey everybody, It's me, Yoda.
Okay, this next page is strap in because Yoda's just about to info dump on these people.
Yeah. You see Yoda, he's like, Yoda I am. Here we go. Train you as a Jedi, I will.
Although this is unforeseen, expecting a different Skywalker I was.
Me? But I'm not a Skywalker. Mistaken you are. I knew your mother. You have her. I mean, just it's so just like, here,
Okay.
we're going to get through like the 4 big reveals of Star Wars in one section.
Right, so this is what Yoda says. I'm not going to do it in the Yoda voice because, like, mistaken you are. I knew your mother. You have her eyes. She gave birth to you twins. Luke was your brother. Strong in the Force is your family. You and your father, Darth Vader. So there it is, just tearing the whole Band-Aid right off.
I just love the idea of like the things that are dished out over the course of 2 movies, one by one reveals, all happens in one monologue from Yoda here. Here's what's up, lady. We don't got time.
I know this is this book being like, okay, tear this off so we can get to the really wild stuff that an Infinities book wants to deliver on, right? But the fact that this characterization of Yoda is like just so far off from what we saw in Empire proper just strikes me as so weird, because that Yoda we initially see in Empire is trying so hard to obfuscate like what is going on to Luke when he first gets to Dagobah.
You get the whole thing where he's not even he's acting like he's not Yoda.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's all, you know, everything with Yoda. I mean that makes him such a mysterious character and also such a scamp, you know? And here he's just like, for some reason, he gets that the stakes are high and there's no time, so he's just like, get this all out in one, I must, you know? Here go I, you know, like,
see the fourth wall I can.
Yeah. Runtime coming up on us it is. Yeah. Credits inbound. Anyway,
also,
yeah. And then I'm sorry, we turn the page.
Well, before we turn the page, I do want to point out the way this Yoda is drawn is not like the puppet from Empire Strikes Back. He's drawn like the puppet from Phantom Menace before it was then replaced by CG in Attack of the Clones.
Once again, feels like, I don't know, were there mandates from Lucas about like, these are the models now?
I guess, yeah. It's
that's the only sense I get. It's like the Cloud City thing, this thing where it's just like, that's what the basis for this is.
I will say, at least this is our second iteration of Yoda in the comics we're coming across now. Well, third if we count Infinities A New Hope.
Right.
At least
you mean with Yoda's suicide run?
At least here we're not seeing Yoda's ankles. That's all I'm grateful for.
Oh my god, so weird. So weird.
And he doesn't actively change size from panel to panel.
No, my god. Oh god, the 1977 comic Yoda is terrifying.
So yeah, on the next page, now we have indignant Han.
This really, where he's just like, wait a minute. I'm sorry, he inferred a couple things, and for him to this be like, wait a minute, I'm the chosen one, pal. Han Solo is the last person in the world who would think he's the chosen one.
But we've seen over the last like issue and a half, Han kind of like talking himself into this manifest destiny.
It's true. It's the rage though that he's just like, hold on. He's not like, wait a minute, I thought I was the. He's like, wait, just one goddamn minute. Luke and said yeah, and Vader's not her father. That's impossible. That's also where I'm like, must we just get it right back on the rails?
Mm-hmm. I do love Chewie's expression here of just like, awkward.
Odd. Chewie's gonna disappear into the shrubs like Homer. Chewie was never here. And Yoda's reaction just, this guy, am I right?
Then Han, like, bringing up some good points, but also some bad points when he says, you can't do this, Leia. Your place is at the head of the rebellion. They need you. The pond hopper here is feeding you lies.
Yeah. Hey, though, why is he so sure of that? You don't know what the fuck is going on, Han. And Leia's just like, once again, Leia has instantly made peace with all this. She's like, no, it's true. Somehow I know it's true.
again, this book is just like really ripping the Band-Aid on like, okay, we got to get past all of this, so we got 2 more issues of weirdness to get to.
Something we talked about is like it maybe should have started later into the story to get to where it's at its most different or something. Because it's really working its way to like, look, we gotta. I think more so than A New Hope is like we've really got to clear a lot of runway to get to where this is going to get wild. I think,
which is saying something because A New Hope again ends with Yoda suicide bombing Coruscant with the Death Star.
But it's like the thing is the what if turn in that is so much more immediate.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just like Luke misses, the rebel base is destroyed, everything is different now. This, by changing something at the very beginning of Empire, is still like, but then we still kind of have to tiptoe through the basic story of Empire with these changes. As opposed to just, it would have been interesting if they had just whole cloth been like, no, we're just doing a totally different, everything is different after that then. Or once again, acknowledge that like, these things stayed the same, Leia's already on Dagobah or something. I don't have the exact answer, but
yeah, I don't know. I feel like at this point in the second issue, we're firmly off the rails, which is what you want out of this, right?
we are. But they still have the like they still have to do. Like I said, it's this. They still have to like, but we still need to quickly get across. Vader's the father. Luke was her brother. You know.
Yeah. And the fact that we don't even have, at least in this issue, the cave scene with Leia, and that being the like metaphorical reveal that we get in Empire.
It's inherently clumsier than Empire, just because it's acknowledging this, like, you know what it is here. We're just going to tell you the difference, and we're also going to stop the questions about when does Leia figure that out? It's right now, and she learns everything, and also is then forced to be like, yeah, okay, got it.
And it's Yoda who's ripping this Band-Aid off with no compunction about why or how or any of that.
Well, it actually further adds the thing about, like, man, if you could just rip this Band-Aid off, what the fuck were you doing, Obi-Wan and Yoda, just manipulating Luke like that?
I mean, there is a thing in, especially in expanded universe stuff, where there is this expectation of Luke, at least on the behalf of Yoda and especially Obi-Wan, of like, one of these days we're going to have to drag this kid off and train him as a Jedi. Like, that's inevitable. And obviously we see that in the Kenobi show with like Uncle Owen and Obi-Wan sort of like butting heads over that idea.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, like, the implication is that that was always sort of a plan from the old guard Jedi, but it's the obfuscation of, like, where he comes from, who his father is, the fact that he has a sister. And again, we know that this was all written as a retcon by Lucas, who had no idea this was all true as he was writing these characters.
No matter what he says, do not believe George Lucas. There's so much evidence that contradicts him.
That he himself wrote.
Yeah, there's tons of like audio tapes of him talking about the story and outlines and stuff, and you're like, whoa, man, like Luke was gonna have a sister, but she was a different character than Leia, and you're like, okay. You can. I've read that first draft of Empire where he meets the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker, who did not become Darth Vader, and you're like, whoa.
Exactly. Anyway, all that is to say,
yeah,
Han is sort of doubling down on like, hey, don't stay here. And then in this last panel, it's sort of revealed that like maybe all this bluster is just because Han caught feelings. Which, again, we don't have the I love you, I know moment in this version of Empire.
No, which is sad, of course. Because some of us bought merchandise with that moment on it. But
John says, pointing at his hat, which you can see if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, which came from Galaxy's Edge. Visit Galaxy's Edge. No, win in Anaheim, California. I do like Yoda jabbing at him with his cane, like, "Hey, buddy."
Safer with Jedi Master Yoda she will be than the death-marked scoundrel like you.
Hey, how do you know about the bounty on my head?
I mean, good question. And Yoda's only answer is, Jedi I am, remember?
I mean, I gotta say, that's indicative of so much of Star Wars. When all else fails, the Force.
Yeah, a wizard did it.
Star Wars has basically been getting by for decades on a wizard did it. Anytime you have a question like that, the answer is a wizard did it.
We're referencing a joke that Lucy Lawless made in The Simpsons.
which is such a great joke. But now, it's so good it applies to everything, right? Like any fantasy or genre thing. A wizard did it.
But Yoda's made them some food, so he invites them inside. And then we
Yeah.
hard cut to later, after they've eaten.
Yeah, whatever gruel Yoda just made them.
Weird lizard soup. I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah. And then they just come out, and in the time that they ate, apparently Yoda convinced Han about this, and he's just like, hey, you make a lot of good points, Yoda. I should get rid of that bounty on my head.
So yeah, Han's plan is to take off, leave Leia here. He's going to go clear his name with Jabba the Hutt. I don't know how he intends to do this, but...
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
And so he goes, hey, Yoda, watch after my girl here. Which I guess we've fallen in love, even though all the scenes where we fell in love in Empire Strikes Back are gone now.
That's a good point.
Like most of their overt romance happens in them running from the Empire in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Especially like right at the beginning on Hoth, when there's like that tension between them, and then once they're hiding out inside the Exogorth, like that's kind of the steamy.
Well, when they're
scenes with
fixing
them.
the ship, and of course that's when they end up kissing, and I mean when she falls into him, so, yeah, all the tension. By the way, that movie does a really, hot take. Empire Strikes Back, really good. That movie does a really good job of establishing that like their feelings built up in the in between. I mean, like them is sort of like you get the sense of like, wow, we skipped over a lot of the will they, won't they stuff, and we're coming in at the most crucial moment where they both kind of know but are refusing to admit it with their scenes on Hoth. You're like, oh man, there's clearly been a lot of tension there.
Right. Yeah.
Good writing. That Kasdan knows how to write particularly characters, which is was good because that might be something Lucas does not excel at.
Well, look, Kasdan has a pretty good track record, but there is the "What's your name, son? Who are your people?"
Yeah,
that's a
but
thing that happened.
The rest of that movie's pretty good.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's not only the thing he wrote; that's the thing he pitched them on. He's like, "That's the scene I've always wanted to write from day one," which I think is very interesting. That was just stuck in his head about like that's the whole reason I want to make that movie is to finally write that scene, and then people gave him a lot of shit for it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it as much as some people. But it's it is whatever. Han Solo. it's one of those classic things where it's like I never wondered why he was called Han Solo, but okay.
Yeah, in the same way that I never wondered why he was called Luke Skywalker. We never need a scene where it's like, wow, that boy's walking on the sky.
Almost like some kind of sky walker. Wow. It's like, it's a classic thing where I feel like the people who create a lot of stuff are like, we're not asking these questions, man.
It's space fantasy. They can have weird last names. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it was all, everybody sounds weird. So anyway, Han takes off, and then much we must do. Train hard you will. It will be difficult.
Yoda kind of goes back and forth on his, like, cadence here. Shouldn't he say... difficult it will be.
Yes. And he also should say, darkness and trial you will face, not you will face darkness and trial.
But I
swear these books were written very quickly. Like the Dark Horse stuff really does speak of like, we're not doing a lot of passes on this, because a good editor would have caught this and been like, you got to flip those and keep Yoda consistent.
Like, of all the characters whose voice you gotta nail, it's Yoda, right?
Right, because all of us are reading it like this, He's pretty iconic in how he talks. But anyway, next time you see your friends, a Jedi you will be. And we turn to it. Now, I got a lot of questions here.
All right.
What the fuck lightsaber is this?
Yoda came out of his hut. He handed Leia this lightsaber out of a bag. She lights it. It's a purple lightsaber, but it looks like the Young Slayer 9000.
It sure does, yeah. It looks like Anakin's lightsaber, which Luke would have had.
Correct.
So why does Yoda have it? Why doesn't Leia have it? Why is it purple now?
This has got to be a different lightsaber, because Yoda just had it in a bag.
But it's not Yoda's lightsaber, because we know Yoda's lightsaber is green.
And a lot smaller.
Yeah. yeah, it would not go well.
Well, I don't know. Somebody could use it as like an offhand lightsaber like Ahsoka does. But anyway.
Oh, that would be rad. I do love the very samurai nature of her long blade, short blade fighting style.
Absolutely.
We don't need to get into it, but yeah, Ahsoka.
Yeah, the only thing I can assume here is this is just a spare that Yoda had kicking around.
If you go in Yoda's hut, he's just got like a bunch, like many backups I do keep.
I think it's more like many Jedi died around me. They did kept their lightsabers as mementos. Did I?
Yeah, after Order 66, he's just picking up lightsabers. Because for a second I thought, wait, why would he have Mace Windu's lightsaber? Because it's purple. It's not, because that's not the hilt of. And I would be able to. I think both of us would recognize what Mace Windu's lightsaber looks like.
No, this is like undoubtedly looks like Anakin's lightsaber. It's got the
it absolutely does
the ribbed hilt with like the link on the end, and the emitter beam looks the same.
Absolutely, but now it's purple, but that wouldn't make any sense. And also, what became, if Luke died with the lightsaber, they found Luke's body, where'd that lightsaber go?
The fact that, and they buried Luke, so like clearly they recovered the remains.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
because
I don't know.
found him, he had just died. So Han and Leia would have had the lightsaber.
And the fact that, I don't know, that could have been like a powerful moment in this book, right? If Han is like, look, I was holding on to this because I thought I was going to be the Jedi, but clearly I've got to pass it off to you.
It should have, before he left, yeah. We're retroactively writing this, but I mean, it should have been Han gave it to Leia before he leaves Dagobah here. That would have made a lot more sense.
And created this like powerful moment of connection between the two characters, right?
Well, because it would have created that. It also would have created a visual metaphor of handing the torch. You know, if it can't be Luke, now it's Leia. There's a lot of stuff that would have worked there. Of course, just the whole idea about this was also your father's lightsaber. Yeah, no, this is just I don't know if the next issue explains this. Probably not. No.
Look, it's going to be a lot of, look, she needed a lightsaber, don't worry about it.
We wanted to give Leia her own lightsaber is basically the whole point of this, right?
Yeah, and eventually they would, and like the lightsaber that Leia actually does get in that movie has problems, but one of the things I like about it is some of the new lightsabers in it is Rise of Skywalker.
No, and I've seen that because I've seen, being the toy collector I am, believe me, I've seen the Leia, replica lightsaber, and it is cool. And no, actually, as I said before about that movie that we're not allowed to talk about, that when they did that flashback scene, I'm like, wait, no. That was the movie I wanted the whole time.
Come back, movie.
Wait a minute. That you should have. Why didn't you make that movie? Oh, that would have been a good movie.
But yeah, that's the end of the issue. Is just again ending very abruptly.
Very abruptly. A Jedi you shall be.
And maybe next time, Leia be a Jedi tonight.
See you all next week. We will.
So yeah, Infinities number 2. We're halfway through this series now. Yeah. We've got our big twist out of the way, and now the larger twist, of course, is Leia becomes the Jedi.
Yep. Leia be a Jedi.
Yeah, again, another Simpsons joke.
Yep. My mind is mostly taken up with them.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What do you think of the whole trajectory here so far of... I mean, it wasn't too obvious right from the get-go of just like, Luke is dead, so clearly the other Skywalker has to be a Jedi.
The end of the actual movie Empire Strikes Back implies that Leia was an option, right?
There is another.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. So that was there. But I just think, to me, that none of this is wrong, but it just feels, this one feels a little clunkier. It feels like they've had a little McClunkier, if you will. Yeah, boo, McClunky. That's the biggest change. Where's McClunky anywhere in here? But
that's an even later special edition, John.
That better start being in the comics, or I'm gonna freak out.
I love the last thing Lucas did on his way out the door before he sold it to Disney. It's like, look, this will no longer be my property from here on out, but there is one last change. From hell's heart, I McClunky thee.
It does feel like that. Hold on, I have to fuck with that scene just one more time and make it a little worse. It is complete. I have completely destroyed that scene. My work is done. Jesus Christ. I don't know why he obsessed over that scene as much as he did. But uh oh no, I'm just saying, like, it's a little clunkier to get here. It just feels like, I don't know. It just feels like the story. I'm more excited to read the second half of this because I feel like now a lot of the heavy pieces have been moved where they need to be to get this into, like, okay, let's go nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, the destruction of Cloud City was cool. There are moments in here I like that was a cool turn. But then it was like, well, okay, then we got to get all this info dump out of the way, like we're talking about. But obviously, it's going to go somewhere else because there is no Cloud City for them to have a showdown at.
True. Yeah. No, we're, like I said, totally off the rails at this point.
Yeah.
We don't know where it's going. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be as, like, wild and, like, head scratchy as Yoda doing a suicide run with the Death Star into Coruscant.
I don't really remember what happens in Jedi, but I don't think it can. I don't think anything can get that fucking nuts. That is so absolutely insane.
Yeah. Oh, Jedi's pretty insane. We'll get there, but
yeah, no, I'm excited. Like I said, I haven't read these since they were out, so I kind of remember bits and pieces of them. But yeah, so I'm intrigued. But yeah, it's been a rougher ride for me.
Yeah, and again, maybe not gelling with the art as much certainly doesn't help.
That doesn't help. And like I said, I think it's just I really do think Dark Horse really rushed these out, and I think some of the stuff is just they weren't given enough time to really figure this out. It's like, here's the pitch, go.
Well, and when you're trying to line up a comic book release with a large media franchise that has had a movie come out several months ago, you just need to get the book out, right?
Yeah, I know. It does in a weird way, even though there's the corporate synergy now of everything being under the Disney umbrella. Weirdly, it doesn't feel like the Marvel stuff is as tied. I mean, they'll do the tie-in miniseries, which is usually the worst stuff. Those like Road to when they were putting out the sequels, those were usually pretty weak. So I do think it's but it's really interesting that for the most part, they're not directly tying those comics in with whatever the movies and TV department is doing.
Yes and no. Obviously, we're sort of on a collision course now with this. I mean, people are calling it the Filoni era of Star Wars, right? Is the in between Jedi and Force Awakens is this playground that now everything in the franchise is sort of
the new Star Wars, mainline title is going to post basically Rise of the New Republic, right?
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. Although I think it's very interesting that they really haven't delved into those Filoni characters in the comics, right? There isn't there are adaptation comics of Mandalorian and Ahsoka, but they haven't done Mando stories or Ahsoka comic book stories, which is interesting.
Yeah, and look, I'm just glad the comics have, for the most part, maintained the quality they have.
Absolutely. No, that's been some of the most consistently good Star Wars in recent years is the Marvel comics.
Absolutely. But for now, I think this issue pretty much wraps it up.
Indeed.
What's another way they can?
Another way
just listening to the show.
Oh yeah. You can go over to our Patreon page. Lots of fun stuff over there. It's patreon.com/punchupent. There you get cool exclusive bonus content as well as help support all the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. So you're going to want to make sure and do that. Once again, that's patreon.com/punchupent. And Gurioni, how else should people check us out?
Over on YouTube, of course. I said it before. I'll say it again. youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. There you can watch this show. One of the best ways to view and consume this show is because you can read the book along with us. You can see some of those complaints we got about the art in a visual way, because we can talk about it until the Wookiees come home, but unless you're actively participating in the visual senses of a comic book, it's tough to really describe in detail what we're looking at here.
Absolutely.
And we're doing the art some discredit here and there, let's be honest.
That is the best way to do it. And of course, all of our, we're the only video podcast, but all of our podcasts you can also listen to on our YouTube channel, though. All the new episodes go up on there as well.
for the best second screen experience on the internet. While you're there, please like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications for every time a show on the Punch Up Entertainment Network drops, which is pretty consistently. But you can also watch our Let's Play series. That's Punch Up Plays, where Elliot Lewis and I are playing through the Mass Effect franchise. We're getting towards the end of Mass Effect 1, and pretty soon I think we'll be rolling into that dark middle chapter.
Oh, yeah.
If you thought Empire Strikes Back ended on a bummer, wait till we get to the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2.
Is that thought of as the best of them, Mass Effect 2?
There's an active and contentious debate about that. Depends on how you feel about how Mass Effect 3 wrapped things up, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe that's telling then that I think 2 is my favorite. But I was just going to say, in general, in trilogies, the second one is usually the fan favorite, I feel like.
As is often the case.
Yeah.
But I think that is going to do it for us this time on May the Panel Be With You. As always, I have been Mike Gargoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And remember, may the panel be with you.